It is time for the Locked On New York Rangers mock draft. We are targeting some towering players like Roger McQueen, Roddy Murka, and Jack Nesbitt in the first round, and we're looking for some steals in the late rounds. Let's have some fun.
You're Locked On the New York Rangers, your daily podcast on the New York Rangers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, Blueshirts fans, to episode number 1331 of the Locked On New York Rangers podcast. I'm your host, Jon Chik. Just want to thank you guys, as always, for making Locked On New York Rangers your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, and we are, of course, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So, very special, fun-filled edition of Locked On New York Rangers here today. Going to be going ahead and doing our first of what will probably be a couple different episodes of mock drafts. Basically, we're all going to put on our collective general manager hats here, and we're going to go ahead and walk through the draft round by round, making every pick for the New York Rangers. And as we know, the Rangers are scheduled to pick 12th. They owe the Penguins a first-round pick. Could be this year, could be next year. We don't know. For now, we're just going to operate under the assumption that they keep this first-round pick. That's a whole other debate in and of itself. But for today, like I said, let's use the first-rounder. I think it's a little bit more fun that way, and we have no way of knowing if they're going to keep it or give it away anyway. So that's where we're at. And, yeah, let's go ahead and just dive right into this. For those of you watching on YouTube, in just a second, I'm going to share my screen here. We're going to use a website from FC Hockey that simulates the draft. Basically, again, we act as the Ranger draftees, and the computer will simulate the rest of the draft. You know, the Islanders will go first, and then so on and so forth, and we'll see how this whole thing shakes out. There is some randomness to it, but you won't see something like completely ridiculous, like a top 5 pick isn't going to fall into the 5th round to be one example. So, yep, let's go ahead and share the screen here. And for anybody listening on audio, don't worry. I'm going to talk you through everything. Going to let you know my thoughts on why I'm picking this player, why I'm picking that player, and the whole 9 yards. But there we go. There is the website. And as you can see, we've got 7 rounds selected because, of course, we've got 7 rounds selected. We're Ranger fans. We want to do the whole draft. So let's go ahead and hit the start draft button here. And here we go. So, yeah, Schaefer number 1 to the Islanders. No big surprises there. They're going to go right through it here. And I'm really hoping that McQueen is still there. Oh, is he going to make it? I think we got him. I think we got McQueen. So McQueen for FC Hockey here is projected at number 11. They have him ranked at number 11. Doesn't necessarily mean he'll go at number 11 because, different teams could feel different ways or draft due to positional needs or whatever the situation might be. But I'm really excited about this because there were a couple of players that I would have been happy about with number 12 here. One of them is Brady Martin. He actually went number 9 here to the Buffalo Sabres. Lyndon Lakovich, he's all right. I could have lived with Lakovich. He went number 10 to the Ducks. He's not really one of my absolute favorites. Most of my favorites seem to fall to number 12 here. So we've got certainly a decision to make. Like I said, I think we're going to go with McQueen, but I would have also been happy with Roddy Murka. He's a defenseman. Would have been happy taking him if McQueen was off the board, which I do think in real life, you'll see McQueen get selected before number 12. I could be wrong, but that's my best guess is that he will be off the board before number 12. Somebody else that I really liked was Jack Nesbitt, another really big forward. And there's some other guys here as well. But we do want to keep things moving here. We got, I think it's 9 picks to get through for the Rangers. A couple of rounds where they've got 2 picks. So, like I said, let's go ahead and go with Roger McQueen. I'm not going to select him on the website just yet, but we're going to go to his scouting report. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about him. We talked about him a while back. We've done a couple of draft-centric episodes where we take a look at this prospect, we take a look at that prospect. But as for McQueen, 18-year-old forward playing for the Brandon Wheat Kings of the WHL, he is listed at 6'5", 192 pounds. So that's the first thing that will get your attention. Clearly, he's an absolute tower out there. Like I said, I didn't think he'd be there at number 12, but then again, you never know how these things are going to go. Will this mock draft here be different than real life? I mean, it will to a degree, but will McQueen still be there in real life? I'm going to say probably not, but he's here in this draft, so we're going to take him. But again, you never know how it's going to go. Most of us didn't think Gabe Perreault would be there at number 23 for the Rangers either, and he was, and they got their guy. As far as McQueen and his rankings, I've got 16 publications here listed, or 16 different opinions. They have him ranked as high as number 5 and as low as number 12. 2 of the publications have him ranked at number 12, which is, of course, when the Rangers pick. So You hear all that, and you would think that it probably puts it at less than 50-50 that he'll be available here for the Rangers, but he made it to us in this mock draft, so we're going to take him. In addition to his size, he has really come into his own as a scorer. He has now played parts of 4 seasons with the Brandon Wheat Kings, although his first season is one of those situations where, he only played in 2 games. So for all intents and purposes, he's basically played 3 games for the Brandon Wheat Kings, but 127 games, 35 goals, 51 assists, so 86 points in those 127 games. And that also includes this season when he had 10 goals, 10 assists for a total of 20 points in 17 games. He was also a +8 and had 1 goal in 3 playoff games. And part of the reason why he only played 20 games, or really the entire reason, was that he was injured for part of this past season. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. But he is said to be, McQueen, something of a boomer bust prospect. And again, I still think he'll be gone despite that label, but maybe that explains why there's a chance that he could still be there at number 12 for the Rangers. Maybe, like, if you're picking 5th or 6th in the draft, right? Maybe you want to go with somebody that's a little bit more of a sure bet. Maybe he doesn't have quite as high of a ceiling as McQueen, but maybe he's got a much safer floor. So if you're picking 5th or 6th, maybe it makes sense to not take such a risk on a player like McQueen that, again, could be a boomer bust. However, if you're picking number 12, as we are, while playing the role of the New York Rangers, then I think a player like this is certainly worth the high risk and high reward that he currently has. So, I think it's a good pick here. Now, I mentioned the boomer bust thing, and what does add to the risk here is a recent injury that he had. He had a spinal stress fracture and was out from mid-October through the beginning of March. That prevented him from potentially making Canada's World Juniors team, which is unfortunate because that's obviously a great tournament. I think it would have been a lot of fun to see him in action in that tourney. But, regardless, again, the injury history, it's really just the one injury. It does make you a little bit nervous, but there's a lot to like here. To begin with, the size and skill combination. This kind of player does not grow on trees. He might resemble a tree, based on his frame, but these kinds of players do not grow on trees. He's said to be very agile, very mobile for his size, also a great puck mover, and he goes to the net. There's a video of him going between the legs in deep and lifting it over the goalie. This was not during a shootout or a penalty shot or anything like that. This is during an actual live play, so obviously the skill was on full display there. He also, I love this, takes advantage of his size to screen opposing goalies. The Rangers just did not do nearly enough this past season to create enough chaos in front of the opposing net. And part of that might be personnel, part of that might be the overall team's mindset, but whatever it was, there was simply not enough of it. And it sounds like this is somebody that not only will drive to the net, but he'll also park himself there, kind of create some chaos. And when you've got a frame like that, I mean, if you're the opposing goalie, good luck trying to see around him. It sounds like he is becoming a more physical player. That for a while was not like a red flag, but it's just you see somebody with that kind of a build and you expect them to be out there throwing the body, knocking everybody around, and being a physical presence on the ice. And it sounds like as time has gone by here, specifically the second half of this most recent season, that he's become a more physical player. He will occasionally lay in a big open ice hit. I saw a couple of videos where he does exactly that. And as far as another weakness, it sounds like maybe his defensive game could improve a little bit. There's times where he gets a little bit lost in coverage out there. But again, with all the tools that this kid has, the way that he's been scoring in the WHL, I'm willing to take that risk. It is a little bit boomer bust, but you know what? The Rangers, one cup in 85 years. You know what? Let's take a couple of risks here. They tend to play it very safe when it comes to their new head coaches, and I still do like the Sullivan hire, but they do things kind of on the safe side. Let's roll the dice a little bit here. Let's go with the boomer bust prospect. And to give you guys a better idea of exactly who he is as a player, we got a couple of scouting reports that I'll read real quick for you guys before we do move on to the second round. And obviously, we're going to have to speed this thing up sooner or later here, but we wanted to give our first round pick a good amount of time talking about him. This one comes to us from Tom Watson from Smart Scouting. One of the most interesting forwards in the upcoming draft, especially with all the time missed due to injury, the 6'5" center of the Wheat Kings on paper has the tools to make you salivate. Watch his highlight reels and marvel at his ability to deke defensemen and spin them around, doing it all in tight to his body despite his massive frame. Look at his elite instinct to get to goal scoring positions undetected. And of course, he can use his enormous frame and size to play physically. That said, the biggest question is whether he can put all of his tools together and do it on a consistent basis. And again, I think that kind of goes back to the boomer bust, theme that we were talking about earlier. This one comes to us from Kareem Al-Shayfe from FC Hockey. He's created a lot of opportunities for teammates, and maybe the most important thing, still plays with that physical edge even after a major injury. There's a reason why McQueen never dropped from my top 10, and this past weekend was an example why. And then we've got Jason Bukala from Sportsnet. McQueen missed the bulk of the year dealing with an ailing back, but he's returned with purpose and looks strong down the stretch for the Wheat Kings. He is a giant of a man who has a presence. McQueen is equally adept at directing pucks on net, using his size and strength to shield opponents in the process, or extending plays and distributing the puck. And so, yeah, he's going to be my pick. We'll make it official on the board here. We'll make the selection. There's other guys you could make a case for. I'm looking at the board here. Keyshawn Aitchison is all right. He's a defense, and he's somebody that I had my eye on. Roddy Murka, I like quite a bit. They've got Aitchison at 12. They've got Murka, at number 16. Justin Carbonneau, they have him at number 18. He's another personal favorite of mine. But of all these guys left for me, hands down, there is some risk with it, but I'm willing to take the risk for the potential reward, and that is Roger McQueen. So we will officially draft him to the New York Rangers, and this draft will do its thing there. You've got Aitchison going at number 14. Carbonneau just got taken by the Flames at number 16. Murka to the Blues at number 19. So all the guys that I liked in the first round are kind of flying off the board here. Logan Hensler, he just went at number 27. Solid defenseman prospect and somebody that I had my eye on as well. But now we go to the second round. There's another favorite of mine. Jack Nesbitt goes number 33 to the Sharks. And this thing will keep running right along here. And then we'll move right along to the second round of the draft. So we are up again here at number 43. And there's a certain forward that I've really got my eyes on here. I really like him a lot. My idea is to probably draft a defenseman here, because going into the draft, I figured if we take a forward in round 1, we'll take a defenseman in round 2 and vice versa. But there's one forward. I didn't happen to notice if he got taken or not. We're going to figure that out in just a second. But I absolutely love this guy as a second round pick. I think he could be an absolute steal there. We're going to talk about him in just a second. And if he's there, in all likelihood, we will draft him as well. But we will do all of that good stuff in just a second. All right, we just want to take a minute to let everybody know that today's episode of Locked On New York Rangers is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better-for-you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I gotta have the no-shells variety. It is the perfect grab-and-go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk or on a road trip or just need a quick protein boost, they are always a fantastic go-to. The satisfying crunch of opening each shell, it is like snack meditation. Whether you're running between meetings or dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works just as hard as you do. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. All right, let's go ahead and keep everything rolling here on Locked On New York Rangers. Big shout out to the everydayers as always. Thank you guys so much for sticking with this podcast. And obviously, through the offseason, the postseason, well, no postseason this year, but you get the idea. Really does mean a lot. So thank you guys very much for that. So the first thing I want to do, I've got a list of guys that I was thinking about drafting in the first round, and I want to make sure that they're all off the board, because if any of them linger to the second round, we might be pouncing on one of those players. And yeah, I don't see any of them. These were my top 8 picks for the first round for guys that could realistically be there at number 12. We're not talking about guys that would have gone first or second overall. But I had McQueen at number 1, followed by Roddy Murka, Jack Nesbitt, Justin Carbonneau, Brady Martin, Keyshawn Aitchison, Logan Hensler, and Lyndon Lakovich. All 8 of those players have been drafted. So we got to go ahead and move along to some guys that I was looking at in the second round, and I'll go ahead and bring up that document real quick here if everybody will just bear with me. There were a couple of guys that I definitely liked and was hopeful that they would still be there for the Rangers. So one of them is Nathan Behm, and the other, he's a forward, and the other is Simon Wong, who is a defenseman. So we've got a decision to make here. First of all, we got to find out if both of these guys are still on the board or not. And as far as Behm is concerned, let's see what we've got here. Okay, so he's there at number 60. So he's ranked kind of low for me taking him here, but I like him a lot. There's a very good chance that's going to be the pick. And as far as Wang goes, let's go ahead and just do a quick search for him. He's still there as well. And it looks like we might be able to get him potentially even in the third round. So with that being the case, I don't really have a whole lot to discuss here. I really like this player in the second round here. And we're going to go ahead and talk about him a little bit. Nathan Behm. He is a right winger, 6'2", 192 pounds. And this is the one guy where I would go against my strategy that I laid out just a second ago. Going into this draft, given the fact that the Rangers do have a lot of needs, I was thinking, okay, if we take a forward in round 1, we take a defenseman in round 2, and vice versa, right? This is the one guy that I'm going to make that exception. We took a forward in round 1. We are now going to take a forward in round 2. And Behm is currently playing for the Kamloops Blazers of the WHL and absolutely just lighting the league on fire. 3 seasons there, or at least parts of 3 seasons. So his first 2 seasons combined, very modest offensive numbers, 74 games, 12 goals, 20 assists, and was a minus 34. But this past season, 59 games, 31 goals, 35 assists, 65 points. Now, despite that offensive output, he was still a minus 23. I don't know if that's really that big of a concern. I think it's a byproduct of his team, the Kamloops Blazers, just not being very good. And he started the season on fire. First 10 games, 6 goals, 4 assists. He did cool down a little bit in the second half of the season, but 66 points is still 66 points. And there's so much to like about this kid, and again, this isn't me, just going by my own eye test or anything. I'm going by what the scouts are saying. But listen to all this about our guy here, Nathan Behm. So to begin with, I really like the idea of adding a shoot first forward. The Rangers don't really have one. I mean, you could maybe say Will Cooley, but you think of him kind of like as a grinder with some skill on top of that. I mean, Kreider gets obviously more goals than assists, but it's not really of the sniping variety. This is somebody that can and does shoot the puck. And the Rangers have just kind of lacked that type of a player for a while. So I like that. He also fights for the puck in the corner, which means he's going to stand out like a sore thumb on this Ranger team if they play this upcoming season the way that they played this past season. He drives to the net. Again, that's something the Rangers did not have nearly enough of this past season. He throws the body. He'll mix it up with opponents between the whistles. He'll try to get under their skin a little bit. Not necessarily the fastest player, but very agile. Has good agility, especially for his size. And he's not like a giant, but he's got good size. Very quick, accurate shot. Able to score for some pretty ridiculous angles on the ice. So that goes back to that sniper thing that I was just talking about. And he'll also, on top of being able to shoot the puck, he'll get some dirty goals too. He'll set up shop in front of the net and park himself there, score on some deflections, clean up some loose change and score that way as well. All of this paints a picture of somebody that can score goals in a variety of different ways. And he's very physical as well, and also a good passer. So you try telling me, based on everything I just said, if there's any reason not to take this kid at in the second round here. And like, at least by FC Hockey's ranking, I guess we're reaching at least a little bit, because they've got him at number 60 or number 43. Maybe I wouldn't even know how to do this. I don't even know if this is an option on this website. Maybe you could trade back a little bit and hope that he's still there. We'll move back in the draft a little bit. But we're just going to get our guy. We're not going to mess around too much here, because, again, I really do like Behm, and I think he could be a steal in the second round for whoever takes him, whether it's the Rangers or anybody else. The only, con that I could see to his game was that he's not active enough defensively. And that's something that maybe can develop over time, and it's not nearly enough of a drawback for me to not pick him here. But I'll leave you guys with some scouting reports on Behm. This one comes to us from the Elite Prospects 2025 NHL Draft Guide. With reach, handling skill, and a knack for pulling pucks through traffic, Behm slices through opponents in spectacular fashion. He taps pucks through defenders' triangles off his backhand just outside of their reach and leans into their space to complete the slot cut. From there, Behm subtly changes the angle inside the release or fakes before passing. A strong first touch player, he moves pucks to the middle of the rink instantly and launches one-timers past goaltenders. Yeah, that's a very encouraging picture. And this one comes to us from Daniel Amoya of the Hockey Writers. In addition to his lethal shot, it's like he has eyes behind his head at times. He can be extremely deceptive with his passing ability, as the two features combine to make him someone that the opposition always has to keep their eyes on. He also has some great hand-eye coordination. And there's a couple other scouting reports, but I think we got to keep this thing moving here. We've got 9 draft picks to do, and we're only at number 2 here. So we gotta speed things up a little bit, and we will. Obviously you get later in the draft and we don't know so much about these players, but let's go ahead and make it official here. Where's our guy Behm at number 60 there? We're gonna draft him, and that's our pick, and this website will continue to simulate the other team's draft picks here, and I'm keeping my eye very specifically on one player to see if he's still going to be available. But you know what? We'll get back to that in just a second. We'll finish out the rest of the draft here. We'll move on to round 3 and try to find some steals a little bit later as well. And we're going to do all that good stuff in just a second. All right, round 3 here. So we're going to see what's going on here, if our guy is still available. I had him as a potential second rounder. It is Simon Wong. He's just a giant of a defenseman. Going to be turning 18 in July. And FC Hockey seems to have him ranked a little bit lower than some other publications that I was looking at. So let's go ahead. He's still there. I mean, see, like, do we get greedy? They've got him at number 109. And that could mean that we could also get him in round 4. So we've got a little bit of a decision to make as of right now. But I think we're going to go ahead and draft this kid. We're reaching a little bit, at least according to FC Hockey's rankings, but I really don't care. By the time you get into these middle rounds, it becomes certainly less of a sure thing that this guy's going to go in this round or that guy's going to go in that round. And, I'm looking at other players that, are on my list here, on my board, so to speak, and there's nobody that I feel like I must have at this point in the draft. There's other guys that I think will be available a little bit later. And with that being the case, we're going to go ahead and draft Wang with this third round pick here. So we'll take him and we'll let this draft do its thing. But I'll tell you guys a little bit about Wang here. I got to go ahead and pick up my notes here so I can read the scouting reports and what have you. So yeah, 6'6" defenseman, 209 pounds. Again, going to be turning 18 in July. I didn't think he would be here in the third round, but here we are. A lot of the publications seem to have differing opinions on Wang, and maybe that's reflected here a little bit in this mock draft. My guess for why this is the case is that most scouts seem to view Wang as something of a raw product, somebody that is very much a work in progress, somebody that might take some time to eventually work his way to the NHL. And if we're talking about a first rounder, that might scare me away. I might not want a player like that, but we are into the third round here. So with that being the case, I'm willing to go with a little bit of a pet project, go with somebody who might not get to the NHL as fast as some other guys might. Maybe he's somebody that can eventually stand to benefit from some seasoning in the AHL with the Hartford Wolfpack. We'll see. But there are 12 publications here. They have him ranked as high as number 31. Bob McKenzie is the one that has him at number 31. So we just got him in the third round, and McKenzie has him as a first rounder. This is what I'm talking about when I say that, yes, there are a ton of publications here that seem to really differ on the opinion of Wang. But the fact that McKenzie has him at 31, Bob's a pretty reputable source, and he really knows his stuff, so that's very encouraging to me. I'm loving the way this draft is going so far for us in the first 3 rounds here. But yeah, he is ranked as high as number 31. Smart Scouting, though, has him ranked as low as number 82. And like I said, the rankings are all over the place. He's all over the board. Nobody seems to really know what to expect or when he's going to go. But if he's still here in the third round, I think we got to pounce. The size, the strength, and his ability to use it, it's all too good to pass up. He's also a lefty shot, a lefty defenseman, which is a small bonus. I'm not saying it's like a necessity. Like, I wouldn't rule out picking a righty defenseman at this spot. But when you look at the Rangers right now, they do seem to be a little bit more set on the right side than they are on the left side. So I think that's a little bit of a bonus. And I'll go ahead and leave you with a scouting report from Elite Prospects 2025 NHL Draft Guide. And then we'll keep this thing moving along as we get into the middle and later rounds here. We got to pick up the pace a little bit here, but very important to talk about these early picks. So Elite Prospects 2025 NHL Draft Guide. In Wang, you get all the advantages of size without the usual drawbacks that come with it. He can flex his lower body, bring his knees over his toes, and drop his upper body at just the right angle to enable fast and smooth lateral pivots, crossovers, and backward strides. So there you have it. And again, I'm really liking the way that this draft has gone thus far for the New York Rangers, for us here on Locked On New York Rangers. I don't think I could have scripted this much better. And I mentioned that we're going to do this a couple more times between now and the draft. I don't know if we're going to top ourselves, but we'll definitely try. And we'll also see if we can find a couple of late round steals here as well. So we're into the fourth round now, and there was a center that I really liked. I was hoping he would be there. Matthew Guard, 6'5", 192 pounds. Unfortunately, he was taken late in the third round, so that's unfortunate. But there's a couple of guys that I like here, and the Rangers have 2 picks in the fourth round. So that being the case, I'm hoping we can get both of them. One of them is a center and left winger, Michel Surchek, and another is a defenseman, Maxim Agafonov. And I'm hoping we can get both. It's possible. And I'm kind of torn right now which one to go with. I'm going to lean a little bit toward Agafonov, though, because right now we took 2 forwards in the first 2 rounds, and then the third round we took a defenseman. So I'm thinking let's get ourselves another defenseman here. And there is quite a bit to like about him. I'll go ahead and let you guys know a little bit about him before we actually draft him here. But 6'2", 198 pounds. So good size, not an absolute giant, but obviously good size. This season in the MHL, 35 games, 6 goals, 8 assists, and a -2. His rankings are a little bit jumbled. And again, this starts to be the case when you start to get into these middle rounds. There's a guy who, somebody thinks could be a late second rounder. There's somebody that's, not even sure he's going to be drafted. I mean, it really can get that wide of a range. But there's 9 opinions here. He's as high as number 38 and as low as number 110. So we're getting him at kind of the back end of that projection. He's number 38 by Recruit Scouting, and that seems to be an outlier. He's also ranked number 110 by FC Hockey. Generally, he seems to be somewhere in the 70s. So we might be getting him a little bit later than we should be able to. As far as what there is to like about him, there's not a ton of flash or offensive upside here. I mean, he is a defenseman after all, but he's somebody that's just very reliable, plays at key moments during the game, and said to be a very strong go-to shutdown defenseman. And that's nice to hear as well, because you guys saw how the Ranger defenseman played this season, and we'll just leave it at that. Despite him not having a bunch of points, he can move the puck very effectively. Again, that's something the Rangers have been lacking. He seems to have good defensive instincts, good mobility, and doesn't necessarily have the highest ceiling. But we're into the fourth round here, so that's to be expected. It seems like most scouts tend to see him as maybe a second pair defenseman in the NHL, but certainly at the least probably a third pair defenseman. It also sounds like, as far as like a negative, he could use his body a little bit more. But there's again, it's the fourth round, so we're not going to find any perfect players available here. But we got a couple of scouting reports before we move on to the next pick. This one comes to us from Elite Prospects 2025 NHL Draft Guide. Agafonov is a 6'2", right shot, physically mature defenseman who can be relied upon to transport the puck up the ice and fill any role capably. He prevents access to the middle in the neutral zone, using his stature and stick work to force attackers wide, and picks up threats in his zone, taking away sticks, disrupting runs, and shielding the front of the net. Wow, a defenseman who defends. That sounds pretty cool. When retrieving pucks, Agafonov is capable of manipulating forecheckers, using the net to create some separation from them, and even launching the puck under sticks to teammates in space. And then we've got one more here from Daniel G. of Elite Prospects. Agafonov's physical profile as a 6'2" right-hand shot defender is inherently interesting. He could be a bottom pair defender at the NHL level. Again, that goes back to what I was just talking about. The scouts don't seem to see a ton of upside here. But regardless, sounds like he should be like a steady, reliable second or third pair defenseman. And that's not too shabby when we're getting into the fourth round here. So I think we'll go ahead, we'll make it official, and we will pick our guy here, Agafonov. There we go. Let's draft him. And like I was, the guy that I wanted, the other guy that I wanted to get in the fourth round here, Surchek, he went the pick after the one I just picked to the Pittsburgh Penguins. So we're not going to get our guy. We're going to have to regroup here once it gets back to us at number 118 here. But I think we can find somebody else that hopefully could be a steal here in the fourth round. And I think we're going to go ahead and select Aiden Park. He is a center who is committed to the University of Michigan. And he has put up some big-time numbers in the USHL. To begin with, in 2023, 2024 at Shattuck St. Mary's, 18 and under prep, 56 games, 30 goals, 63 assists, 93 points in those 56 games. And then for the Green Bay Gamblers of the USHL this past season, 52 games, 30 goals, 31 assists, 61 points in 52 games. The USHL maybe not thought of necessarily as difficult a league as some of the other leagues that we've talked about during this mock draft here. But man, 61 points in 52 games in the 4th round. I mean, you can sign me up for that any day. And decent size as well, 6'1", 188 pounds. Let's go ahead and make Aiden Park our selection here in the 4th round. And we'll let this thing go ahead and simulate, and we'll get into the 5th round and see if we can find somebody else that we'd like to take. Seeing a couple of names going off the board here. You know, there's one more defenseman that is ranked quite a bit lower on this website than I think he is for most other publications. But if he's still there, I think we're going to go ahead and certainly select him in the 5th round here, because we're getting pretty late in the draft. So if there's somebody you like at this point, I mean, you might as well just take him. There's no point, I don't think, in trying to wait until the 6th round to pick somebody when you can just have them in the 5th round. It's late enough now. If you like him, just go ahead and select him. And we're going to see if he's still available. But yeah, I'm thinking we're going to go ahead and pick Bryce Pickford here in the 5th round. Interesting player. Surprised that he's ranked as low as he is on this website. I mean, we're picking at 148 here. They've got him at 262, and that is by far the lowest I've seen him. I don't even know if maybe it's a mistake or something, but he's 19 years old, turned 19 in April. That could mean, I mean, he's a little bit older than some of the other prospects, obviously, so that could mean he's going to be available a little bit earlier or a little bit sooner to the Rangers than other prospects might be. And as far as other things, I mean, he's 6 feet tall, 190 pounds, so not a giant among defensemen, but a very high-scoring defenseman. You don't expect to see somebody that's in point-per-game territory available in the 5th round, much less a defenseman, but that's what we've got right here. He's played 4 seasons in the WHL, and the first 3 were with the Seattle Thunderbirds. This past season was with the Medicine Hat Tigers, where he was an alternate captain. 48 games this past season, 20 goals, 27 assists, plus 34. Mixed feelings on the whole plus-minus stat, but he went from a minus 36 with Seattle last year to a plus 34 with the Tigers. So you're talking about a 70-goal swing when it comes to plus-minus. And in the playoffs, he was amazing. 18 games, 13 goals, 11 assists, 24 points in 18 games. He was also a plus 23 in the playoffs, and he helped his team win the WHL championship less than a month ago. He actually had the empty net clincher in Game 5 that won the championship in the championship series there. He scored at least 1 goal in all 5 games in the championship series. His team won 4-1. Again, this is a defenseman. And he's available in the 5th round. And I wasn't necessarily coming into this draft looking for like an offensive-minded defenseman, but again, we're in the 5th round. This is too good to turn away. It does sound like one drawback is that his physicality and overall defensive positioning need work. And I know there's going to be some people that scares them away a little bit. But again, I can't emphasize this enough. We are not talking about a 1st rounder here. We are talking about a 5th rounder. And this is a defenseman that scores constantly. Obviously, that's a big pro to his game as well. He's a puck mover, big one-timer, great puck handler. This kid has sleeper written all over him as far as I'm concerned. And I'll leave you with one scouting report here, and then we'll move on to the final picks of this draft. This one comes to us from Neutral Zone Scouting. Pickford showcased a solid skill set on the ice, particularly in his ability to effectively transition between offense and defense. He demonstrated strong puck-moving skills, which allowed him to efficiently join the rush and contribute to both zone exits and entries. While he tends to excel more in the offensive zone, Pickford's decent positioning abilities make him a reliable transitional defenseman. However, there are moments where he struggles with reacting quickly enough to plays or making the physical choice over the best defensive play. Despite this, his ability to exit the zone with the puck helps mitigate these issues. So there are some concerns, but 5th round, yeah, we're doing this. Let's go ahead and just draft Pickford. You guys get the idea, and we'll move right along here a little bit later in the draft. We've taken 3 defensemen in a row. We started with 2 forwards, and then we've taken, I think, 3 defensemen. Let me look at my picks here, actually, while we're doing this. So, yeah, we, in the 1st round, we took a forward. That was McQueen, obviously. In the 2nd round, we took a winger. That was Nathan Behm. And then we went defenseman in the 3rd round with Wang. Then we had another defenseman in the 4th round, Agafonov, followed by a center in the 4th round, Park. Then in the 5th round, we took a defenseman, Pickford. So 3 defensemen. I think we're good there. We're down to just 2 draft picks left. I do want to pick a goalie at one time. And I know that obviously Igor Shesterkin exists and he's a franchise goalie. And for my money, still the best big name goalie in the NHL. But I also know the Rangers have had some luck with late round draft picks when it comes to goalies and even some undrafted goalies as well. So with that in mind, we're going to at least consider a goalie. If not now, then certainly in the 7th round. And I think I've found a goalie that has a chance to be a steal going this late in the 6th round here. And by the way, the Rangers actually have 2 picks in the 6th round and 1 in the 7th. So we got 3 more to get to here. But the goalie that I'm talking about, and we're going to pounce right now, we're not messing around, Petteri Rimpinen. He is a goalie who recently competed for Finland's World Juniors team. And Finland made it all the way to the gold medal game, thanks in large part to his play. They lost the United States in overtime, won the silver medal. But in that tournament for Rimpinen, he played in all 7 games for Finland, had a goals against average of 2.34, a save percentage of .933, and a 5-2 record. And obviously, one of the key players driving Finland to that gold medal game and ultimately a silver medal finish. But that's not a fluke. I mean, I know that's kind of a small sample size, but he obviously excelled on the big stage there. When you look at what he did in Liga this past season, very, very impressive as well. 40 games, 235 goals against average, 912 save percentage, 2 shutouts, a record of 16, 9, and 14. And then in the playoffs, very strong there as well. 5 playoff games, 271 goals against, 920 save percentage, and 1 shutout. And I'll leave you with just one quick scouting report. It begins to get a little bit tougher to find a whole bunch of details about players the farther we go in this thing. But Elite Prospects 2025, Rimpinen relies more on his athleticism than his pure dynamic skating. He battles well through traffic, and his tracking, doesn't fall off when chaos erupts. So again, I mean, it becomes a crapshoot at this point, but I do want to take a goalie, and this guy is too good to let him pass. Let's go ahead and select Petteri Rimpinen in the 6th round with our first of our 2 6th round picks here. So we'll wait for this thing to do what it does. The website's going to simulate here, and we're going to make another pick just a couple of picks later here and see who else we can come up with. And we're going to go ahead and select Owen Martin. He is a center for the Spokane Chiefs of the WHL this most recent season. 39 games played, 13 goals, 21 assists. He was also a plus 16. His numbers are up pretty significantly from the season before that. So that being the case, let's go ahead and take him. I mean, it's the 6th round here. Again, we're dealing with some dart throws. And for anybody that's interested in size, 6 feet tall, 183 pounds. No reason not to take him at this stage in the game. So, yes, we will go ahead and take Owen Martin. And then we've got just 1 pick left here. We're going to get to the 7th round here sooner or later, and we'll see if we can find a diamond in the rough, so to speak. Probably going to pick another forward. You know, we already got 3 defensemen. We got a goalie. Probably going forward, or maybe just a player that catches my eye for this reason or that reason, you know, whatever it might be here. But regardless, as this draft simulation continues here, just want to thank you guys for tuning in and, you know, watching this episode. It's something a little bit different here today. And obviously we got a lot of picks to get through. Having a lot of fun here, though, playing the role of general manager of the New York Rangers. And so if anybody wants me to do more episodes of this, I'm happy to do it. If you've got a favorite you want me to draft next time, certainly let me know. But we got 1 more pick to make here. And for our final pick of the draft here, I think we're going to have to go with Lev Katzin. He is a Penn State commit. Now, full disclosure here, I did go to Penn State, so maybe there's some biases creeping in here just a little bit, but it's the 7th round, so who really cares? I'll be as biased as I want at this point in the draft. Obviously undersized, that's one of the first things you notice when you're looking at his bio and his stats and whatnot. Just 5'8", 172 pounds, but he is going to Penn State commit, so they obviously think very highly of him. And in his most recent full season with the Green Bay Gamblers of the USHL, 57 games, 10 goals, 23 assists for a total of 33 points. And then for the Gulf Storm of the OHL this season, 44 games, 16 goals, 32 assists, 48 points, and a -7. So we are in the 7th round here, and we are still coming up with a point per game player. And at this point, I mean, that's about all I need to hear. So we're going to go ahead, make it official, and draft Lev Katzin. And that'll do it. I mean, this website will finish drafting the rest of the players here, but the Rangers are done. And I feel pretty good. Like, I've been talking about how we're going to do more episodes of this. maybe we won't. This went about as well as I possibly could have hoped. And I think in just a minute when this finishes, we will have the entire roster of players that we drafted here for anybody that wants one last look at it. So let's go to my picks. Again, Roger McQueen in the first round, Nathan Behm in the second round, Wang in the third round, Maxim, Agafonov in the fourth round, also Aiden Park in the fourth round, Bryce Pickford in the fifth round, Petteri, Rimpinen in the sixth round, Owen Martin also in the sixth round, and Lev Katzen in the seventh round. Not too shabby at all. I'm pretty happy with this, and we'll call it there. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in, and please remember to like and subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you next time.